Today on Doodlebud, I'll be showing you how I use my Creality Falcon 2 laser to make this box to house my fountain pens. First attempt turned out not too bad, but I'll go through step by step, show all the details. There's a few changes I want to make, and also some problems I ran into with the laser system. I'll show you what those are, so let's get started. So I've made these boxes here. I take cigar boxes, put a little wood insert with the router, put some fabric on it. I have another one to do, and I thought I could do it the same way, or I can get the laser going to make my own box. So I ordered some of this foam. I'll put links in the description down there. I thought I could, make the laser do the work for me, put the pens where I want them, so just get a basic layout going. I thought, how many pens should I have? I'd like it if I had 10. So I'm going to add a few more pens here. Just get them all organized, and then next thing, just to get a concept, right? Just lay them out the way you want, the spacing the way you want, do a few measurements, and then head over to the Lightburn software. That's what I'm using. Make a rectangle. So we're going to have cutouts, and then each pen's going to go in there. So make a quick rectangle, put in the dimensions I want to get it sort of in the ballpark, and let the software do the work for you. I'm going to make a little radius on here to make things look pretty. So use that tool in there. Just go around all the corners, make it look all nice and round. And then again, there's a little tool you can do. You click on that one there. That opens up a dialog box, and so you can make a little array. And then you just ask how many you want in there. So we're going to do 10, get them all set up. Looks good. You can play with the spacing here too. It's at 6 millimeters. You can make it 10 millimeters, whatever spacing you want, however far apart you want them. I think that looks about good to me. I draw a little box around it, change the dimensions to what I think I want it to be. And then I'll just go ahead and align everything. So there's these align tools up here. You can do that. So everything's vertically up and down aligned. And then just send that to the laser. And away it goes. Now I am using, this foam, it's kind of toxic gas. So I am using the cover that they supply that has the fan, and it's just sucking out all the smoke and fumes, and it's evacuating that out the garage door there, so I'm not having to breathe this. So you can see the fumes coming off. They're quite nice. And it looks like it's cutting good. I've never cut this before, so I just guessed on my settings. I think it's 100 millimeters per second, and 30% power, I believe, is what I use for this. So let's give it a look. Popped it open. I gave it a few minutes to degas, and actually cut pretty darn clean. So there's the base plate, and then layer 1, and then layer 2. I am going to kind of glue these together and stack them, but so far I'm pretty happy with that, how it's holding. And so now I got to make the box. How am I going to do that? Well, make your life easy and go to boxes.py. I'll put a link in the description as well. You go on there. You can make all sorts of different things: drawers, boxes, round things, whatever you want to do. A salt box. Tons of options. Whoever made this, thank you very much. I'm just going to do a simple box, as it says, and then you can go in here and adjust the settings. I was just sort of playing around with the software a bit. These aren't the actual dimensions I had. I did it to work with the foam I have, but I unchecked the outside. I want to work with inside dimensions. Once I got my stuff set up, I just want to work with that and play with height. So I played around a little bit. You got to measure the thickness of the material you're using, so it's 6 millimeter plywood I'm using. And then this is your burn. That's sort of like a kerf. I played around with this. This is going to dictate the fitment of the pieces together. You hit generate, and there you go. There's your files. So I thought, okay, I didn't like how the joints were done. I didn't want them to interlock that way. I wanted it to be just around the edges, and there we go. That's what I was looking for. So then it generates the file for you, an SVG file, which is a scalable vector graphic. You import that. You just drag and drop it right into your Lightburn. And then what I do is I make a box around it so I know how big to cut my piece of plywood. And then you have your design on the inside, and you just play around with your layers a little bit. So you want to go in, adjust the speed you're going to do, the power you're going to do, maybe multi-passes. You're going to have to test a few pieces to see what works good. And same thing, I'm going to put this on a new layer. So you click down on the bottom there to do that. And so now it's a separate layer for the logo. Again, adjust the power settings. You want to do your engraving first. So that's the first layer. And then I did a preview on here just to see how it looks. You hit that preview button just to get an idea. 23 minutes. You can play around with the settings to see if you can save yourself some time, see what works. And then away we go. We just let the machine do its thing. So I put it in there, and again, recorded this for you, but what I do is I open up my garage door, have a fan, or else I use the enclosure to suck out the fumes, because it does get a bit smelly in there too. So if you're inside, definitely one of those covers is good. If you're like in a condo, You got to get one of those covers, and you can have the hose going out a window. So what I do now is I just take the plywood out, pop the pieces out. Some of them were sticking a little bit, and then I had to give it a bit of a sand because you get actually some of the glue from underneath the layer comes out to the surface from all the heat. So I just gave it a sand, clean it up a little bit, and then just started putting everything together. See how it goes. Everything's going together really nice. It's snapping together really good. The fitment's good. No real issues. I like how it's going. And I got so excited, I just thought, let's put some stain on it. I had this kicking around the house, so put that on there. Thought I was going to do a super fantastic job. Didn't check my work beforehand, and you'll see here. All right, looking fancy. Put the lid on, line it all up, and I got a big time problem. Look at that. That is way out. That's like 4 or 5 millimeters. Same here on the other side. So this isn't good. You can't have that. So this kind of, that kind of annoyed me a little bit. So I got to see, where is this problem coming from? So I go through. I found the problem. Checked it with the square. It's out by a country mile. Did the long edge on here too. Like, that is so far out. So instead of wasting more wood, I got some cardboard I had kicking around, and I started engraving here, cutting some lines in it. I want to cut some squares and see how square these squares actually are. I maybe should have checked this first. And so I did that, and yeah, they're out. They're way out. So I thought it was maybe heat distortion, but then I went and gave a look and started looking a little closer and noticed that gap does not seem right. I checked the other side. It's going out the other way. So I put the square on there, and you can see here, that frame and the cross piece, those are not square. That is mega critical. So I took the laser off. This is why you keep the anti-static bag. Took the cross member off. Started looking in the frame. The frame is out a little bit there too. So we got a few things going on. I ended up finding out a lot of these screws were not tight, like just finger tight. So maybe someone got distracted when they were doing it, went lunch break, didn't notice it was off. And also the carriage here. So I put it up against that square, flipped it to the other side to see where the alignment is on there, and look at that massive gap. So even on the belt, they didn't align this properly. It comes pre-assembled. So I end up having to do some disassembly, reassembly, adjusting the belt, get some slack on there, and I have to just jump a few more teeth forward. And then I'm just checking how all this stuff works. These are cool little screws. They have a cam here on the bottom. So this is the one that holds the laser. I noticed there was a bit of a wiggle in it. So what you do is you can adjust that screw. You don't want it to be too tight, but you adjust it so it's nice and smooth, but also so there's no wiggle. You set it up. I put everything back together now and plotted those again. Now that should be done at the factory. That should be a final check and test. And there should be an assembly jig when they put these things together, but sometimes there's human error. So check this if you get a unit. Everything's square. I didn't bother filming it, but I had to recut everything again with new pieces. Double checked for squareness before I assembled, and then just started putting together. The bottom piece and the top piece, I did adjust the offset for one. So this was a nice snug fit. I had to do a little tappy-tappy there with the hammer and block just to get everything to fit in there. I am happy with the fit because I don't have to do any glue, and then you'll see with the other piece, they went together not quite as tight and secure as the base. So what I ended up doing is I put it together, and then I thought, you know what, let me just put a little bit of glue on here. So I just got some wood glue and just went along one by one into every little joint, put a little bit of glue in there, tapped it all together, checked everything out, and then I put a clamp on it just to secure it, left it overnight, and then I came back to it in the morning once I had a little bit more time, took it all apart, and then I started making sure everything's square. Everything's looking good. I like the way it fits. We don't have any overlaps. Everything, went together quite well. So I'm thoroughly impressed. I went down to the place called Lee Valley just to get some hardware, some little hinges and stuff like that. There's the details there. I'll put in the description again there too. But, whatever you got nearby, whether you get it online or if you have a shop nearby. Never done this stuff, so I don't know where to get all these types of fixtures and little hinges and all the best types of things. But just put a clamp on here, hold it together, started hammering it, and then realized I really should have got screws. I also should have put the holes into the file to make, place everything. And I ended up going to the garage and getting a dolly just to not destroy this thing with the hammer. But here's the finished product, first rendition. I put some stain on it too. Don't know if I should stain the inside. just yet or not, but so far it's looking pretty good. Now, it's not perfect, but the edges are pretty close. I'll show you some of the errors and some of the little issues that came up. If I redid it, I would definitely make some changes. Again, screws, not nails. I would put the placement holes into the file so the hinges go where they need to. But all in all, like, you know, it's not too bad. So let's fit the foam in there, and then the little other bits too, and start putting some pins in to see how it is. I'm happy with the fit. I had to recut the foam because the first time I did the foam, that was wrong as well. Here are the other layers, and then we'll just start putting in some pins and see how this turns out. So here we go. Load it up. Put in my favorites. Takes big pens, small pens, whatever it is. Again, moving forward, they do wiggle a bit. I should put in like some V-grooves. And I thought, you know, it's okay. Those nails popping through. I should put some finishing trim pieces on there, or I could do foam there too. It's not bad for a first go. It's just the first one didn't work well, so I wanted to make sure the thing was going to be square, but I don't like how that comes back all the way. So I could put a little chain on there. I would prefer, I would just change where I put the hinges because it could fall back. This was annoying. Again, the placement, if I put it into the file so the laser could tell me where to put the holes, because now when I hammer them on, it's off by like a 0.5 millimeter. So I got a little lip on there. It holds okay. I'm sort of happy with this for a first go. Should I engrave that? Maybe should I put some leather on there and engrave that? I don't know. I sort of ran out of time and frustration with the first one not going well. I think it looks good. It's square. That's the big one. I'm super happy with that now. I think I'll give the other one that's not square to my little guy. But you can see here on one of these boxes, and they did that just with a chisel. So I'm dealing with plywood, but they put the hinges on the inside so then it won't open all the way. I'd like to do that too. And I thought, ugh, that just looks so nasty. So either I can put a cover piece of wood or some foam in there just to protect things a little bit more. But all in all, I think it's not too bad. I think I'll do another rendition, or at least change that foam insert for the next go and see what I can do. Maybe make a big drawer with lots of trays, something like that. Anyways, love to hear what you think. There'll be links in the description about the laser as well. Until then, catch you next time.